Today in the news, it's dominated by Moscow claiming that Ukraine has sent 5 drones towards Moscow, and the Russians claim that they've shot them all down, yet they seem to have closed a lot of the airspace and the airports around Moscow itself. But who could have sent the drones? Russia's come out very quickly and claimed it's the Ukrainians. Usually when the Russian Ministry of Defense claims anything, it's the Ministry of Disinformation, so the opposite is true. But it could be the Ukrainians continuing their deep battle, or it could be Prigozhin keeping the pressure on what is going on inside the Moscow political sphere at the moment, because we haven't heard a lot from him over the last few days. But in saying that, he has just in the last 24 hours said that we have to prepare for new victories. He's allegedly in Belarus. There's unconfirmed reports on Telegram where he has been going around some of the prisons in Belarus. And I've seen satellite pictures of a camp that is being linked to the Wagner group being set up inside Belarus. Now, if Prigozhin is setting up Wagner in Belarus and is suggesting that there's going to be new victories on the front and in the fight into Ukraine, that means that he's probably looking at setting up something that could attack potentially into Kyiv again, open up a second front, splitting the Ukrainian defences in a way that will cause them a difficulty with their counteroffence. But if he's doing that, it means that politically he's still in bed with Putin. The whole thing about the Prigozhin coup is still confusing. We haven't heard much from Zaporizhia, the the deputy commander for Russian operations into Ukraine, who was allegedly a Wagnerite who has worked with Prigozhin in the past in Syria and worked well with him in Ukraine before Zaporizhia was replaced by Gerasimov. We haven't heard anything from General Gerasimov, and certainly the Russian Defense Minister Shoigu has been very quiet indeed. So a lot more to come out in this, I think, over the coming days and probably weeks. But until we get something more definitive, Putin is still looking quite weak. When it comes to the counteroffensive itself, the counteroffensive is progressing well in most places. The 3 axes are still there, Bakhmut, north and south, and the Ukrainians have repelled some Russian efforts to try and blunt their counterattack and have still moved between 500 meters and 1.5 kilometers to the north and south of the village. An attack down through Donetsk on the Donetsk-Zaporizhia Oblast borders. In military terms, you always attack down a boundary. That's the weakest point. They're looking at that. And then an attack down from Zaporizhia down towards Tokmak, trying to split that land bridge and cut the lines of communication from Crimea up through into the disputed Donbass region. We've got the nuclear threat with what is going on and the potential mining of the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant. That's hanging over all of us. But in big headline terms, the drone attack is the only big one. Prigozhin being quiet and the other generals having disappeared quietly. Nobody seems to have fallen out of a window yet is the next one. And the counteroffensive progressing slowly.